Buy yourself a gun. What? Gun. Oh. What? Like a handgun for personal protection. If somebody tries to mug you. What? What if your government tries to throw you in a can? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? One automatic rifle and a lot of ammo. A gun? Yeah, a gun.
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like a Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. 10-footed cops in riot gear, gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta drag them through the streets.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out PrimerTime Radio. My name is Michael.
Hey, and I'm Dan. Welcome everybody on UCYTV.tv. Michael, we have some special guests with us tonight.
Yes, we do, Dan. It's my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome Prepper Chick and Prepper Husband.
Woo, howdy.
Thanks. That's a good
Lori and
introduction.
Eddie, thank you for being here tonight. If people don't know, Lori's got a show on UCY.tv here. Actually, she comes on right after us. We are not the intro she needs, but whatever. She brings it all herself right there. Prepper Chicks After Dark. You can't miss that.
Thank you. We enjoy it immensely.
Very interesting show you have there. It's brings up a conundrum of questions. I like it.
It's
causes lots of arguments too.
radio that makes you think.
That's what we love.
But the great thing about you guys are you're both NRA certified instructors. Is that correct?
We
Yes.
are.
Well, tell me what does it take to be an NRA instructor?
Lord, do you want to handle that?
Oh, I was waiting for you because you like to talk so much. Really, it's a lot of studying. You go to a counselor, you take some classes. You have to have the balls to stand up in front of someone. But I think the most important thing is you have to love to teach someone how to protect themselves.
So
that
that's
involves
gratification.
dealing with all kinds of different people and different mindsets.
Oh, yeah.
That can be difficult for some people. So it's not for everybody.
No, that it's not. And I've done a lot of studying I teach in my other job, in my secular job, let's say. So I've done a lot of studying over the years about introverts, extroverts, different types of personalities, that whole thing, and how to manipulate the training for the student instead of a teacher just being able to train a specific way. Because you see that a lot. You get a trainer, and not ragging on the guys, but they train one specific way, and that's it. You have to learn to be able to adapt to your student, and that's when you get the most bang for your buck.
Well, can you give the people a little overview of the Refuse to be a Victim course? Because that's what you guys teach, right?
I teach that.
Oh, okay.
I teach personal protection in the home and a basic pistol class, and we also teach the Utah concealed firearms permit class.
That's
We do
way cool.
Yeah, we do all the classes together, but I'm the only one with refuse to be a victim.
Yeah, she had to be special that way.
I am.
Well, I'm familiar with the Refuse to be a Victim program, and I'm pretty impressed with that. That's, I think, probably the second best program that the NRA has out next to the Eddie the Eagle program. I think that's where the NRA shines right there. And
What exactly is that Refuse to be a Victim program? I'd like to know a little bit more about that, please.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll answer that. Well, it's basically learning how to take care of yourself without a firearm. There's a section in there pertaining to firearms, but a lot of people are scared of them. So it's a nice intro to firearms, in my opinion, but it also goes into training in different scenarios. For a businesswoman like myself who travels a lot, we go into how to protect yourself in a hotel room, how to protect yourself on the road, and it goes into how to protect yourself at home when you're out shopping, situational awareness, all that kind of stuff, but without firearms. You can add a firearm section in there, but it takes into account, pepper spray and mace, all those other kind of things out there, and all kinds of neat little gadgets and stuff to use that a lot of people aren't aware of.
Yeah, pepper spray is another good defensive weapon. I agree with you on that for women if they don't have the option of a firearm.
Well, please don't remind me about the pepper spray. I got to get maced on next Sunday.
Oh, really?
We're taking a baton
important.
class.
That's important that you feel exactly what it can do and what it can't do. It may turn you off on mace. You may think that I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. It may turn you off. You may feel that you could operate well enough after being sprayed that you don't like the idea of getting somebody with it.
Oh,
So
no,
it's
I've
important.
been hit with the good stuff.
So
It's
under
not fun.
what are the circumstances, Eddie?
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. As much as I would have liked to, yeah, it wasn't me.
Anybody and a lot of our listeners like Salty Old Dog, who's in the military has to go through the darn gas chamber. And when you're in that room with the CS, the military surplus gas, whatever it is, military gas, and they make you take your mask off, it is the worst feeling in the world. It just hurts. You can't breathe. It cleans out your sinuses. It's nasty. That is probably the best stuff you can get, but they don't release that to the public. The next best would be what the police use, and that's what Lori and I are going to take a CS class, a pepper spray class next Sunday, and I'm going to get shot in the face just so that way she feels better.
No. CS
Yeah, we might even let her do it.
Pepper spray, correct?
Yeah. And that's the police issue stuff too. That's the stuff they won't even give civilians.
That'll knock most people to the ground and then kick their lungs out if you wish or whatever. I know it's powerful stuff.
Yeah, it can be. I remember
I've been hit with pepper spray and I did not like it. I was hit with the canned pepper spray and I did not like it. But that being said, if it was a dire enough situation, I could have fought my way out of it. As it turned out, I didn't need to fight my way out of it. I was removed from it. So,
yeah, Eddie, I'd like to know I'd like to know exactly what kind of instruction do you do, and you travel around for your instruction. Is that correct?
when we take our personal training, because we don't stop just by teaching, we do a lot of training that we get taught ourselves. That's when we travel. We're going to be taking it, but this class in June, and we have to go to, I think it's Missouri or Minnesota for that one. Minnesota. Okay. And then I would love to go to Florida, Rob Pincus's class over there, which is another 4 days worth of shooting. And, I believe, we're going to Nevada to do the front sight training this year. That's when we really travel. But for the personal protection class, the NRA based classes and the Utah classes, I'll travel to other people's homes that way and try and make it affordable for people. Whereas all this training people go to, they're paying through for it and they're not getting very much. So what we do is, and usually Lori comes with me. We'll travel with somebody home. They'll do the training on a kitchen table or in their basement at the bar or whatever. And then we'll drive 20 minutes to the local shooting range and shoot there if we have shooting to do. And people like it. They feel more comfortable in their own environment. And, it's my mic messing up?
No, keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah, you're doing fine now.
Okay. So, we will travel and we've been talking about going out of state, but it would have to be big enough to pay for our expenses at least, I don't mind it. I love it. The more I teach, the more I learn. And I'm all about learning, especially when it comes to firearms.
What all classes do you teach, Eddie?
Well, Lori and I, we teach the basic pistol class, which is an 8-hour course, in the classroom, 2 hours of actual shooting. The NRA First Steps, which is a introduction to shooting pistol. That's a 3-hour class, but we actually stretch that one to almost 5. It's 2 hours in the classroom and 1 hour of shooting, but we stretch it to 3 and 2. And then, teach the personal protection in the home, which is, another 6 and 2. And that one is more about personal awareness, be aware of your surroundings, things that happen to you and where you're at, and situational awareness is what I'm looking at.
So it's not necessarily firearm related, that class, is that correct?
So it, but only about 40% of it. The other 60% is, hey, pull your head out of your ass and be aware of what's going on around you.
Be aware, in other words.
Yeah, always be aware.
That can take more training than you think. To pull your head out of your
firearms,
situation.
Yeah. And people don't realize how much they are not aware of their surroundings. Think about how many times you look at your phone every day. In a 2-hour span, count every time you pull the phone out of your pocket to look at it or to answer a text message. Every time you give your attention to your cell phone, you're taking away from your surroundings. And you're basically turning yourself into a soft target for somebody who's looking, to, basically have you for lunch.
That's a good,
and that's what we've seen in the past is that most of these crimes that happen against somebody are a crime of opportunity. It's somebody who left their door open or their car door unlocked or left themselves exposed, pulled out a wad of money at the register sort of situation. You're helping people get past this.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at, trying to teach them how to be just more alert. And believe it or not, in the beginning it can be a little tough, but and people think, oh, I have to devote all my time to it.
I would imagine so for people who aren't aware and new to this way of thinking. It's changing their entire way of life. There's a lot of people that walk around addicted to the iPhone, like it should be a part of their hand. There's a lot of people who just don't see what's around them.
Right. And well, there's a pull it up right now, but my computer's acting weird. Of the young girl that was on the iPhone and she walked into a water fountain. There's another video, of a guy that gets on the bus and he's got a pistol in his hand and he's in the middle of the bus and nobody sees this pistol and it's in his hand.
In his hand. No one notices. Wow.
And nobody notices. Now this is I'm
sure that video will end up being something that Feinstein uses at some point, The best way to deal with a robber is to ignore them.
Yeah, she's a knucklehead. But here's a personal favorite. When I was a young man in New York City, I had a good friend who was a bus driver, and he would tell us that, stories, crazy stories. People would, there was a crazy man got on his bus one day with his penis hanging out of his pants, and nobody noticed it.
Are you telling stories about yourself again?
Yes, I did that. That was me. Of course. I'm so well endowed, I have no problem showing it off.
Let's just say that the fact that nobody noticed it is a good thing.
Well, yeah. But the fact that, you're walking around with your pecker hanging out of your pants and nobody notices, where's everybody what are they thinking about?
I think it points to a larger societal problem.
Wait a minute, are you bragging or complaining there?
Bigger societal problem.
After all, a firearm is an extension of our penis. Is that correct? I think that's the way most women think of it.
I think you guys are correct there.
Well, then
all my pistols are compacts.
Let's talk about that 500 Smith & Wesson. That's a pretty interesting video.
Tell us about that, Eddie.
Well, excuse me. It goes to the training again. People, we were talking about this earlier with the training. People don't realize that when you start a new shooter or even a seasoned veteran and you're giving them a caliber that they're not used to, have a nickname. Excuse me. Have a nickname. I call it Barney Fifing. You give them one darn bullet and let them try that. You do that 2 or 3 times till they get comfortable with the pistol. So what happens is if you come up with a full house load on a Smith & Wesson 500, and here I'll see if I can get it. And so you give them this darn gun and it's too big for them to control. And they can't control it. So, like in this gentleman here almost blew the top of his head off. There was a young lady that in the Midwest. She came from South America to visit her family and they gave her the same thing. And this is what happened to her. And, basically she killed herself. But it goes to, you don't shoot it more powerful than you can control.
Well, I think this also goes into the responsibility of the person who's taking somebody shooting for the first time. You're insane. You do everybody a disservice by starting anybody off with anything larger than anything that's a normal buy it at the corner store caliber. But 22, 9mm, 380, 45, 40 Smith & Wesson, that's what you should start somebody shooting off with. 38, 357 even, people who give somebody a 44 Magnum and a snub nose or a 500 Smith & Wesson or you've never shot anything before. Here, try this single shot 12 gauge with high brass, enjoy it, little girl. These people are sick. It's not funny. And it damages for everybody because at some point, this girl who fell down and bust her ass after, pulling the shotgun to her shoulder, she's not going to like firearms anymore, and eventually she'll vote. And you've done everybody a disservice by doing something like that.
Do you know how many people we train, specifically women, that have that exact problem?
I think that's a bigger problem. It's a problem of personality right there. It's a
huge problem. It's a huge problem. And you know what? I'll say this. The guys mean well when they're out purchasing guns for their wives or their girlfriends. But, to stop and think about the fact that they need to fit that handgun to that person that they love and take special care with that. Or if not, they're hurting themselves.
Many times. When a first time shooter, especially a woman, it doesn't matter what the caliber is. As long as she can make hits with that caliber and she's comfortable with operating that weapon, that's the weapon for her. It doesn't matter if it's a 22 short. If she can make consistent hits to the noggin with that, that's her weapon.
Are you guys Go ahead, Eddie. Are you guys familiar with a gentleman named Clint Smith? He runs a training facility called Thunder Ranch. He usually uses a 45 for everything he does. You know what his wife carries? A 22. And he was the one that coined the phrase. I
think that's wonderful that she carries a 22.
Well, he's that guy that coined the phrase, a hit with a 22 beats a miss with a 44.
Absolutely. I say that a hell of a lot. I didn't know who I was getting it from, but it sounds good to me.
Well, he's out of Thunder Ranch. The guy's amazing, but I'm not even sure if he's still alive or not.
It's funny. All the concealed carry classes that I've been attended and participated in, It's pretty crazy. The women always outshoot the men for some reason or another. There'd be 25 men and 6 women. 3 of the women never touched a firearm before, and they always outshoot the men when they qualify.
You know,
Have
that
y'all found that to be
reminds
the case?
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you, the very first class that I ever taught was back in 2004. And this is the first class I got paid to teach. And Lori was my assistant. We were teaching a bunch of women, and one guy might as well have been a woman. But anyway, the one girl was from Michigan, and she had an old Smith & Wesson Model 36, a little 3-inch barrel. She kept shooting the crotch out of the man target, you know, the one that's holding the gun. And we couldn't figure out how, but she was getting great groups. I mean, you could cover them up with a dollar bill. And so the next thing you know, I was trying to figure it out, but she was the best shot in the class. And you know, but she kept shooting the crotch out, and I'm like, "Are you aiming for the crotch?" She says, "No, I'm aiming center mass." But then next thing you know, about an hour into it, as a joke, all the women started shooting the crotch out of all their targets. So
I agree that women usually first time out are better shooters than men for the simple fact that, well, ladies don't usually grow up watching army movies and cowboy movies, so they don't pick up on the bad habits that guys had when they were kids, as far as first time shooters go. Women listen to the direction. They understand everything that's being said, and they take it to heart. And I think they have maybe a greater, I don't know what the proper word for it is, a greater openness to it leads to them being a better shooter than a guy who comes in with his mind already set that he's going to Johnny Ringo somebody.
I think you're right about that, Michael. There's another thing involved with women too, and I think that's shooting with boobs. Lori, you want to tell us about that?
Well, I'd rather back up just a moment, and I think it needs to be made clear. When women want to learn to shoot, it's because they want to learn to shoot. They're not going to do it because the rest of their friends are doing it. Something that the guys think they have to have a status quo on, well, we all carry guns, so we need to go out and we need to shoot. If a woman wants to get a gun and shoot, it's because that's what she wants to do, not because her friends do it, but because she thinks it's important.
Takes it more seriously then, a lot more seriously.
100% more serious.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I'm gonna have to agree with you 100% on that. Something I was gonna say, we don't see a lot of guns actually made for women. There's not a lot of firearms industry that's made for women, other than pinking it up or putting, pink grips or Hello Kitty stuff or something like that. I think that's a largely overlooked part of the market, because pretty much everything that's marketed for a woman is just a compact of something else that's got, Lady Smith written on the side.
Well, quite honestly, as a woman, I'm not real crazy about the Hello Kitty crap and the pink guns and all that.
I think they're horrible. I really think it turns them into toys. It demeans women. It locks women all into one category. And to be honest with you, some of them are just garishly ugly.
What is your favorite carry, Eddie and Lori? What's your favorite carry piece?
My most comfortable pistol, most accurate, is a Springfield XDM 3.8 compact, 9mm. And, that's what I carry on the hip. And usually I carry believe it or not, either a SIG P938 in the back pocket, or the other one is a North American Arms 22 Magnum. And,
I like the North American Arms Derringer. I like that little 5-shot Derringer. I think that's a rather nifty idea.
It's a great holdout gun. It's not the gun for, I'm going to take this guy out from 10 yards. No, this is when the guy's got you by the throat. You can't get away. You pull this out of your pocket, stick in his rib cage, and pop him one.
You sting him like a bee. That's right. Sting him like a bee.
I think not enough good things can be said about the North American Arms 22. I believe it's the best insurance you can have. It comes in at the right price. You can find them definitely for under $250. I I'm not necessarily a fan of the 22 Magnum because I'll tell you what, straight up, the 22 long rifle has a tendency to jump out of my hands with with stingers in it. So, I'm seriously, I'm a fan of those things. I really like one.
I'll tell you what, Michael, right now I've got a 22 Magnum North American Arms with a folding grip that covers up the trigger when you fold it up, you know. And
funny you should mention
it locks into place. You got plenty of grip there to hold on to that 22 Magnum. It's a nice piece.
Funny you should mention that because in my pocket I happen to have a 1 5/8 inch barrel with the just the standard little bird's head rosewood grip.
Yeah.
22 long rifle. I don't believe. Seriously, it's not a gun for a beginner. It's definitely not a beginner's gun, and I'm not saying that as some sort of braggart item or something. It's just something that takes a little more care and use around. But once you find one and you figure it out, they're a really nice little thing to have.
What do you like to carry, Lori?
I carry a Glock 17 and a SIG P938. I like my Glock because my mags will fit down in my Caltech Sub 2000, which is an awesome little gun to have for a bug out bag because it folds in half.
9mm carbine, yes.
I'll tell you what, I'm a fan of pistol caliber carbines. I like as you brought up, I really dig the magazine interchangeability. I think that's a really important thing to have.
As a prepper, it's very important, in my opinion.
Well, certainly, you want all your rifle and your pistol ammo to match. That's very cool.
There's a few other pistol caliber carbines that will change magazines with other pistols. Like you said, the Keltec Sub 2000 uses Glock magazines. I believe it also there's a couple variations of it out there that use I believe it's SIG magazines and Beretta 92 magazines, and there was another one out there. I can't remember exactly what it was. But then JR Carbines makes a AR-15 looking rifle that uses Glock magazines. Beretta has a carbine that uses magazines from either the 92 or the Storm series pistols. And I believe Citadel Arms is just now coming out with a M1 carbine that's actually a 9mm and uses Beretta 92 magazines. So this opens up a lot of options for a lot of people in the prepping mindset. You only have to buy one kind of magazine, one kind of ammunition. You're pretty much good to go.
Yep, and that's the goal. That's the bottom line, is you streamline everything down.
So you like a Glock 17, huh, Lori?
I absolutely love it.
I own a Glock 17 or a Glock 19. I prefer the 19. I like it a little better. It fits my hand a little better than the 17.
See, I've got a bigger hand, and so I like the 17 a lot better. And I've had it a long time.
Sweet shooting guns are very accurate guns too. Once you learn how to shoot a Glock, you really love those guns. I can't overstress that enough.
And it's very reliable.
Yeah, very reliable. It takes a lot of getting used to get used to that trigger pull. But once you get used to it, they are awesome guns. They really are. The best self-protection you can buy, I think, for pistols.
I agree. And I have a lot of friends that, their guns start tweaking off a little bit when they don't clean them a lot. My Glock, I haven't honestly probably cleaned it in 6 months.
There's not almost a year, dear.
Well, whether it needs it or not.
There's not a lot of cleaning to do on a Glock, There's really not.
We have been shooting Lori's Glocks January last year, the second week in January, and I think she got really upset with me about 6 months ago because I ran a bore snake through it because she's running an experiment to see how long it'll go before it actually does malfunction. And she's put about 1,000 rounds through it.
Wow.
You're gonna go broke figuring that experiment out.
Yeah. That's the goal, reload more 9.
Reload. What does it cost you to reload 9mm, by the way? What's that cost per round?
You have your initial entry cost, and then you have your base cost. The initial entry cost is going to cost you all the equipment and then, your startup fee or cost. And what we did was, I've been reloading since 1992. So for me, my initial cost has been paid off, decades ago. If I was reloading 9mm, honestly, it cost me about between, 8 and 14 cents a round.
Oh, that's awesome. Based on today's prices, around 30 to 35 cents a round.
Yeah, because the cheapest I can find the ammunition is 27 cents a round, and that's buying in bulk of 200. Buying in bulk 1,000 rounds, $299, $69.
That's
Now,
not a bad
let's say for somebody who's not, who does not have the ability to reload, somebody who's living in an apartment somewhere in a major metro area, reloading might not be an option just because of the room and the cost factor. How do you feel about stocking wolf ammo or steel cased ammo, steel cased full metal jacketed stuff?
If your gun cannot eat the cheapest ammunition you can find, you need to get a new pistol.
I highly agree with you.
That's a good way of looking at it.
That's the only way. That's the best way I can say it, because if I've got a high point that's $180 and that high point will eat any kind of ammunition I feed it except for hollow points, guess what? That might be better than the 1911 that I spent $800 on that can't eat anything until I broken it and cleaned it. So, I would say,
I'm curious about the SIG 938 you guys carry, the 380 caliber. Are they reliable guns?
Well, let me tell you guys a little story about the SIG 938. I bought the first one in November, a year and a half ago, or 14 months ago. And I came home with it, and I showed it to Lori, and she liked it so much, she said, "Thank you," put it in her pocket, and walked away.
Well, I'm very picky about my firearms.
Yeah, so 2 weeks later, I had to go out and buy another one. So that's how we wound up with two. But
that brings up something interesting. You're of the prepper mindset. How do you feel about exactly that? I mean, do you have any other guns in common between you that you say, for lack of a better term, say stock up on?
Well, the AR platform rifle that we have, she has hers and I have mine. Same caliber.
Who's the better shot with the AR?
Well, another good gun for a prepper is a Ruger 1022 takedown, just because you can take it apart and fold it or put it into your bug out bag. 22, is important. I have my Mossberg 500 that I keep beside the bed, but that's just me.
That's a nightstand gun.
That's a good gun to have by the nightstand.
Well, the thing is,
if you're not running,
that's smart.
I'm a serious fan of the 1022. The 1022 is unbeatable. To me, that's the gold standard in 22 rifles. And if you compare a Ruger 1022 with a Ruger BX25 magazine, I think you're well set.
Yeah, we've got a few of those.
I like the BX25 magazine.
Dude,
that's the one that went
magazine out.
That's the one that went from $20 to $40 back down to $20, right?
I saw them during the height of the rush. They were $17 before the rush. Sometimes you'd find them on sale for $17.99, and they went up to $75 a piece at the height of the rush.
And what are they now, Michael? They're back down.
Now they're down to about 25, 21, something like that. I think everything we're looking at a 10% markup on everything since before it. I think that's the tag we all got.
So everything's come back basically except for 22 long rifle for some reason or another. Can't quite get a handle on that. Why has the 22 long rifle not come back? Everything else has, essentially. Except for at Walmart.
The Walmart near me doesn't have a whole lot of anything. They've got a lot of 40 caliber. They've got a lot of 223, lots of 223, and or 223 5.56, whatever it is. I don't shoot that round, so I don't really pay attention to it. I just noticed that it was there. Lots of shotgun shells, and they were fairly limited in their handgun ammunition. It was a lot of 40 caliber, some 380, and maybe like 32 Smith & Wesson long or something like that.
I just remember it wasn't long ago that it was 3 cents a pop to shoot your 22, and now it's over 10 cents a pop to shoot your 22 if you want to go buy ammo right now on Gunbroker, for example. That's ridiculous.
Don't buy ammunition online.
Absolutely not. Don't buy it from the gougers.
Don't buy it from Gunbroker.
Well, that's your only option.
Gunbroker, even any of the people second handing the ammo on any of the local gun boards or anything. I mean, this is where the problem's at. If we stop buying it, they're going to be stuck with it. You know, they won't buy it if they can't sell it.
Here's what I see working in the gun industry and working at a gun shop and stuff. That is the number one that I see is there's the same 10 people, the same 10 men every Friday morning waiting at the door for the door to open at the shop. As soon as the door opens up, those 10 guys come in and they buy their limit, go outside, come back, get in line again, buy their limit again. Then they turn around and sell it for 3 times what they paid for it on Gunbroker.
Well, that's exactly what I'm seeing. I think last week I mentioned, there's a guy on my board that I look at. He's got Tula, 22 long rifle. It's a round nose lead. It's nothing fancy. Be the same thing as, white box Winchester, like Wildcat stuff or CCI Blazer or something. But it comes in a little plastic can. It's only 250 rounds and he's selling it for $55.
Wow. You can keep it.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Selling it, that's incredible. And that's a regional issue, isn't it? What's the deal on that? I don't understand that.
Well, I believe it's regional if we include the region as the United States, because as far as I understand it, there's plenty of 22 in Canada.
I don't know. It's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous.
Yeah. So,
but 22, there's probably more 22s than any other caliber, and there's probably half the guns are 22 caliber is my guess.
I'd say a definite 30% of the weapons in the United States are 22 caliber. I would agree with you on that.
And they're making so pricey you can't shoot a 22. That's ridiculous.
Well, it's coming back, and I mean, you'll see it at places like I've seen it at Cabela's, but Cabela's has a one box limit. Now they are 525s or 500 round boxes or whatever, but it's one box, and then you can order it again, but you have to pay for shipping again. And they also have one box per day going into the store.
Guys, here's what you can do. And Gander Mountain, if you can get on the Gander Mountain website, you can order the ammunition for retail prices. They will either ship it to your home or ship it to the store, and there's no limit on what you can buy. And they don't charge you the extra prices, and they don't gouge you. If you buy the ammunition online, have it shipped to the store, it's free. And if you buy over $50 worth, they ship it to your home for free.
Gander Mountain is doing that, Ian. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're doing it. I do it all the time.
$50, that's the price of a box of Stingers anymore.
Well, no, cause, I work there, so every occasion I can come across, I got 900 rounds of Stinger ammo for $99. So
I missed that little green ammo can. I think it was 1,500 rounds of CCI Stinger I believe it was $99 for that little ammo can. And
you had the 900 rounds of Stinger or the 1,600 mini mag, and I've got a few of each.
Michael's a big fan of the Stinger.
I'm a serious fan of the of the mini mag. I like the CCI Stinger. I really like CCI products. I like anything that CCI makes that comes in a plastic box is pretty damn good to me.
I agree with you, Michael. I shoot a lot of CCI standard velocity with a suppressor on the end of the barrel, and it's very good, clean, burning ammo. I love it.
Yeah,
I've never had a CCI Stinger fail on me. I've had Remington Golden Bullet fail on me. I've had Federal Champion fail on me. Seems to me in my recollection, I've had more CCI Blazer and Remington Golden Bullet fail on me than anything else.
Okay. Now let's shift up to the AR-15 platform for just a minute. Eddie is building a rifle right now. I believe he's waiting on his stamp to return and all that. Tell us about that, Eddie. The rifle you're building.
Yeah, well, you can go originally when we first started building them, years ago. I built one as a 22 platform because I just wanted one, but I didn't want to spend the money for 5.56. So we got a 22 upper and it was kind of fairly cheap. I think it cost me about $400 to build the whole thing about 8-10 years ago. We fast forward, built a couple in between there. Built one for Lori about 3 years ago. Just a standard M4 carbine platform style. And we got that one right about 5.5 range. Now we built another couple, another one between that. And then I started building this SBR. And the SBR was a little bit more expensive.
Let's explain to people what an SBR is.
Okay, the SBR is a short-barreled rifle.
And
short-barreled rifle.
That needs a special tax stamp because the legal limit on a rifle right now is 16 inches in the barrel, right?
Yes. If you have anything with a barrel that's less than 16 inches, and I believe it's a 26 overall length, then you have to get a $200 tax stamp through the government special permission. So, starting to build it up, you can usually do pretty cheap. When I say cheap, you can get it a nice one built for right about $1,000. Whereas you can, grab a Bushmaster or DPMS or a low-end AR-15 for $1,000, but you don't get all the bells and whistles you would. So it's easier to just build it from scratch or from the ground up your way.
So that way, and then you had the $200 for the tax stamp for the shorter barrel. Is that correct?
Yeah, you have to add. So and I'm forgetting about that portion because I never really thought about it. But you do have to count that $200 into the final price of everything. But once you have it, it's yours till you're dead or you sell it.
It's the $200 and how much time, because that's not just something you can walk down to get like a hunting license or anything.
Yeah, you have to wait usually between 4 and 6 months. At the height of all this, it was almost 8 months. Now it's back to about 5. So it's catching back. It's calming down a little bit.
That's the NFA stamps, correct? NFA.
Yeah, the National Firearms Act, and that's from 1986.
Maybe some of our listeners don't know about that, but it put a limit on it. It halted all civilians owning machine guns that weren't registered prior to 86. All that stuff. You can look it up, Google it.
Google it.
It was a dark day for the United States.
For firearms owners, yeah.
For the entire country, even for non-firearms owners, because personally I believe if you don't take the initiative to protect yourself, you're part of the problem. We complain about the encroaching police state at every point, but there's many people out there that won't own a firearm. And studies have shown, despite what everybody says, and 90% of Americans agreeing and all this other hoo-ha, but if you have a weapon, you're safer.
Yeah.
100%. I agree with you, Michael. You know my feelings on that. Everybody knows.
And I'm part of this increased police state. I mean, we all know what it's really for, but part of this can be blamed on people who don't take care of themselves. the outrage of the inner city and blah, blah, blah. Step up and take care of yourself.
Because I have a concealed carry permit, people are safer around me. They don't even know it, and that's fine with me. I never pulled my gun out, unless I would need it. So, people don't realize it, but they're safer around me, which it's a pretty cool idea, I think. I like it.
You have to worry about some of that stuff though, because there's two things. It's a double-edged sword with the training and having a permit. A lot of people think that just owning the gun and buying a box of ammo, it's a magic talisman and they don't have to worry about anything. That's going to ward off all evil. You have to get training to go with it. And people need to learn that, because you can't just own it and be able to, shoot a dime out of midair one-handed when you haven't even practiced with the gun at all.
I agree with you, Eddie. You got to practice with your firearm.
And in the same vein, like we were talking about earlier, you look at any of the gun boards or any of the places for guns for sale, you'll see quite a few large bore handguns, a lot of the Smith & Wesson 629s, a lot of Taurus Judges, for sale, because somebody, bigger is better. And I've got this 44 Magnum. I've got a 45, and they shot 6 rounds out of it, and now it's for sale. Oh, I've also got 44 bullets to go with it. They bought one box of ammo, fired one cylinder full, and that's it.
I like the Judge, by the way, Michael. That's a shotgun in the hand.
I'm kind of a fan of the Judge. I find it to be a little expensive to shoot. I've at different ranges, I find the Judge to be very limited in its scope, but what it does cover, it covers tremendously well.
I think it's an ideal nightstand gun. I really do.
I think I could see its utility in a home. I see its utility at anything under 15 feet, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah, it's devastating.
The Judge was originally touted as a carjacker gun.
Well, to be honest with you, that's what I see its best use as, is left in a truck.
Yeah, it's great because you're within 7 feet. You're just going to blow a hole inside the truck,
Right. 410 loads, there's a whole lot. Something I did notice about the Taurus Judge is that it does not like to function on anything other than American 410. There's a few import brand 410. They just don't fit in the cylinder right, and makes extracting them almost impossible. Without a pencil or something to pop it out. And so that's something I did notice with a Taurus Judge. Another thing that's nice about a Taurus Judge is it seems to work a lot better than any of the other Taurus revolvers that I've had. I'm not a super fan of Taurus. There's some things that I think they make that are absolutely wonderful and absolutely worth every penny that they charge for them. And there's some things from Taurus I just wouldn't touch.
Older Taurus. Newer Taurus are good quality equipment, I think.
I agree. I believe not the copy, but their version of the Beretta 92. I think that's a wonderful weapon. They make a copy of the Beretta 21. They call it the PT 22. I think that's a nifty little thing. I do like the Judge. They've got a few of their smaller semi-automatic pistols that I'm sort of fond of. The TCP 380 is kind of nifty, but it's just too small. I think they would have been better off with making something that size in 9mm.
You gotta watch the trigger on that TCP because it gives a lot of people blisters and it pinches the bottom of the trigger finger. Oh. That's the biggest complaint I've got on that.
I don't think that's a gun I'd like to shoot more than 6 or 7 times.
Eddie, I fell in love with the SIG 938 9mm that they come out with. That's a sweet little gun right there for a pocket gun, in my opinion.
It is a fantastic gun. I would suggest if you get a 938, get the 7-round magazines to go with it because it gives you a fuller grip in the hand.
Extra finger on the grip, exactly.
Yes, sir. That's why Lori likes it so much. If I take the 7-round magazine out of it, her little finger curls up around the bottom of the grip. It's not quite as comfortable. But if you put that 7-round mag in there, she's she's dead on with it too.
Oh, that's neat. It's sort of like a Glock 26 or something like that. You have to learn how to shoot with two fingers basically on the grip there.
Yeah.
What's the size comparison of the SIG 938 to say something like a Ruger LC9? It's a good deal smaller than that?
Yes. Actually, with the 6-round magazine, it's almost an inch shorter in the grip, and it's about a half inch shorter on the barrel. Now, I will tell you something about the 930 versus the LC9. My brother-in-law's got the LC9, and I've got the 938. So I'm thinking, I got it beat. So I'm shooting the 938. He's shooting his LC9, and we're doing good. We switched guns, pistols, and I wind up shooting better with the LC9 than I did with the 938.
It's a Ruger.
It did bother me a little bit. My pistol's worth twice as much, and it did irk me, but
it's a Ruger.
It's a Ruger, yeah. And I have a SIG. You're thinking, whoa, I've got the SIG, the grail of pocket pistols. No. Sometimes the money and the quality, what they tout, is not always there. And if you can shoot that double action better than a single action, I grew up shooting revolvers, so I'm actually better with a double action trigger than I am with a single action sometimes. And it takes a little bit to get used to the single action trigger on the 938. Not a true single action trigger. It actually pivots.
The 938, now does it break down, is it basically a mini 1911? Does it break down like a 1911?
It is exactly that. What they did, if you guys remember back in the 80s and the 90s, you had the Colt Mustang Pocket Light.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it is a beefed up version of the Colt Mustang Pocket Light. It's just like a big brother to it. Everything's exactly the same to that. It even comes apart like a 1911. The only difference, it does not have grip safety on it.
No grip safety, yeah. Well, there's no grip safety on a Mustang either.
Exactly. So, but that's when you equate it or compare it to a 1911. They all have that grip safety panel or the Beaver grip on it.
Another fine John Browning design. Another Browning design.
You got it, Michael. And they made a 380 government model, nickel plated with pearl grips on it, or pearl colored grips. It's a beautiful gun. I think it's one of the prettiest guns ever made. I love that thing. It's just awesome. You can't find them anymore. They don't make them. They haven't made them in 30 years or so. But nowadays they sell for over $1,000 if you can find one.
Yeah, they're fairly pricey. They're very well made. A different era of firearms manufacturing in the United States at that time.
Yeah, it was. I miss those days, but they're still around. You can find them at gun shows and stuff like that. And, my last Mustang Pocket Light Colt that I bought, I just paid $325 for it, and it's awesome.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, real good deal, especially in light of the fact that they sell for $1,000 now. So, but the Colt has shot themselves in the foot also because they've started remanufacturing that Mustang.
Well, they saw that Sig Sauer was making the P238, which is an exact replica of the Colt Mustang Pocket Light, and it's just a little bit better made than the old Colts were because were made out of pot metal. You guys can attest to that.
Yep.
And they were having some issues back. Now they improved on it, and then Colt decided, hey, we can make money off of that too. Let's do that.
Isn't that crazy? But I love the old Colt. The old Colt 380s. I used to collect those things and made a mint selling them after I collected them. I just had to dump them. The price went up on them so ridiculous. That was when everybody started getting their carry concealed permits, and they wanted a 380, or whatever. That was the big gun to get.
380 is not a popular caliber in my area.
It is for concealed carry weapons. It's a very, very popular caliber for concealed carry weapons.
Yeah, here I would say it's not even in the top 5 here.
Well, it's a sub caliber. And, but it's the bigger of the sub calibers. if you look at, the 22 Magnum versus the 380, the 22 Magnum gives you 2 inches more of penetration and ballistic gel, but they give you the same wound channel. So, something to think about. Then you have, the 9mm, the 40 and the 45. They're not the sub calibers. They're the basic calibers that we carry. And everybody's screaming 45, but if you do your research, you'll see that all 3 calibers are almost on the same playing field because of the new technology in ammunition. So they all give you, it's almost a moot point whether they carry 9 or 45 or 40 because they all give you the same kind of stopping power.
Well, I'll tell you, 9mm is much better priced for anybody who's looking at getting into this. 40 and 45 seem to be a good $3 to $5, maybe $7 a box more than 9mm. There's a lot of 9mm manufacturers out there. Used to be that shooting 22 was the way to get in. Maybe now it's shooting 9mm because there seems to be a lot of 9mm and not a whole lot of 22 out there.
Yeah, get yourself a Glock 19. It's one of my favorite firearms, and you can shoot that thing to death and not hurt it a bit, and it's an accurate firearm. Once you get used to it, you got great home protection right there with 15 rounds in the magazine. That's an awesome piece.
Glock 19 costs about $550 new at a store. An alternative to a Glock 19 is the Smith & Wesson SVE in 9mm. It's not made to the same standards as a Glock. It's made to be a budget-priced weapon, but that comes in right about $300.
You can go to wolfsprings.com, and for like another $10 you can do a trigger job on that Smith & Wesson and make it a better trigger to shoot.
I've not seen anything about them having the big kaboom or anything. Most of the complaints I think are kind of snobbish complaints that I've read about them. They seem to be a fairly interesting, affordable weapon. Something kind of odd about those, they actually stole the design from Glock and court case and everything. And before they went to the current iteration, the previous models, they had to pay Glock $13 per pistol sold.
That's a lot of money.
Michael, did you find a good guy gun story of the week? We're running out of time here.
Oh yeah, I did get something. And it's kind of a double-edged sword. This is in Chicago, out of the Chicago Tribune. 44-year-old man on crutches fatally shot one of 2 intruders who came charging at him Friday morning in the heart of Chicago neighborhood, according to police. Mr. Mario Viramontes, 31, was declared dead on the scene, according to the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office. Police were called to the scene at 9:09 for a burglary. When they arrived, they found that a male offender who had been trying to commit a burglary had been shot by the homeowner. Goes into this, and the man's his fear, his recognition of the exact direness of his situation. But here's something that's very interesting. During the course of the investigation, police learned that the 44-year-old homeowner's fireowner's identification card was expired, and he was charged with 1 count of possessing a firearm with an expired FOID card, a misdemeanor, police said. They're going to get you at every point. Move out of these cities that don't allow you to have a firearm.
I agree. We got to thank you, Eddie and Lori, for coming on with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Of course, we got Prepper Chicks After Dark coming up next. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. Michael, we got 30 seconds. I'll give you the final word.
Well, Dan, I'd like to say thank you to Eddie. I'd like to say thank you to Lori. Prepper Chicks After Dark, UCY.TV. You can't beat this. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Take care. We'll see you next week.
Take care, guys.
Folks.